What's up? It's your boy Those Specials here with a movie review of Dune 1. Now, if you haven't seen Dune 2, I suggest you don't watch it because this has spoilers about that movie. I'm going to be reviewing the trailer, but I'm also going to be breaking down stuff that's going to be coming up in the next flick. So, if you haven't seen Dune 2, I recommend you don't watch this one. Alright, now without further ado, let's review. Now this right here is Arrakis, a giant sand planet with sand people. All right, got giant worms that and all kinds of different bugs that are some of them are hazardous to anyone walking around in the desert. Um, and so you got to be very careful in this environment here. It also gets extremely hot. All right, and they like have these suits that like kind of like filter out their sweat, and then they're able to drink that water from their sweat, so that way they're able to keep themselves hydrated. They're a very advanced sand people, all right, with cool technology.
My planet Iraq.
Zenyatta plays a very important role. Now she's one of the ones that are known as Fremen. Those are like the sand people there. She's sick, man. Yeah, she gets down. She's a soldier. Um, and she's also one that is very skeptical about the ones showing up. You know, everybody else is an alien that pops up in here. So Zenyatta is definitely somebody that would always have a critical eye. All right, so she's always one that wouldn't take what she hears at face value. She'd actually put what she hears to the test.
Arrakis is so beautiful when the sun is low. Rolling over the sands, you can see spice in the air.
Now, right here in this one part, they mention spice. All right, so that's like some of the materials that you could only get on that planet. All right, so spice is like a hallucinogenic. It's for health reasons. It's to help out with everything. You know what I mean? Like the spaceship. Spice they use on everything. They eat it. It's used for the spaceship. It's sold. You know what I mean? Like tossing them on dime bags and selling them to different people. So like this planet is just like a giant ball of just drugs. You know what I mean? And it's the only planet like that. Now, if you see these folks right here at the bottom, right? These right here. These here are not the Fremen. All right, these are actually different folk, I think. Um, they're pretty much letting them know where they're at. Now, the Fremen normally are not walking around like this. They're hiding. You know, they're in the ground, man. They're rogues. Now, this right here is a spaceship that belongs to like folks that are like albino aliens. You know, that's Bautista. WWE Bautista is like one of those albino aliens, and he's ruthless in this movie. And these people they're very ruthless, man. That they just don't care about life or anyone else. They just care about collecting this stardust known as spice, and that's all their goal is.
The outsiders ravage our lands in front of our eyes.
Now these are the ones here. These are not Fremen. Like these fools right here are actually the enemy. These are the albinos. That's why they're all suited up the way they are. You know, because the heat is not good for them because they're albino. You know what I mean? Who knew?
In front of our eyes.
Now these are the Fremen right here. You know what I mean? In these rogue suits, and they're the ones that are hiding on in the ground. All right. And as you can see, that spaceship, man, and these people are not to mess with, but they're definitely causing havoc. Now, this is a major war that's happening already. All right. The this is a battle that's going when the houses because they have different houses, like different kings, and they're known as houses. You have the house of Atreides, and you have the house of the emperor. I forgot what his is, but there's a total of like 9 houses. All right, and the house of Atreides is one of those, and then you have the other house, which is part of the one Bautista is. That's another house. That's another ruling class, and these are all from different galaxies, man. And they kind of come to this one planet to collect this stardust.
Their cruelty to my people.
Right here, and these guys are ruthless. Like right now, you're about to see this fool's about to chop heads off, man. Like just execution style. It's got a whole row of fools just bah bah bah. You're done.
Is all I've known.
So throughout the movie, like you'll be getting glimpses like this, right? Where like Paul Atreides, which is the son of Duke Atreides, he's like known as the chosen one, like Alamajin, right? Which is the chosen one, and he sees these visions and the stardust. He's like allergic to it, and it gives him like hallucinogenic. So every time he gets around that area and he starts like breathing it, he kind of like zones out, man, and he starts having these visions. He's just talking to nobody. Like everybody around there is just looking at this dude, and he's just sitting there having a full conversation with someone.
What's to become of our world?
And this right here is the invasion coming in. You know what I mean? This, I mean, not the invasion. This is the House of Atreides coming in because they were asked by the Emperor to go to Arrakis and help them out with the production of spice. You know what I mean? Like, so the House of Atreides is very it's a very loyal, very understanding, and they're but they're very also respected. You know what I mean? They're a very respected a ruling class, and I think that's what made it kind of like a threat to the emperor. The fact that they were able to sway and be able to be cool with so many of them. They had a lot of respect.
World.
So as you see, like he has visions when he dreams. He be constantly dreaming, and he be dreaming about Zenyatta. Like you hear about this throughout the whole the beginning of the movie. Like he's always talking about how he sees these visions, but they're like glimpses. You know what I mean? They're like small little glimpses that he sees here and there. So it kind of lets you know that he's got some ability that he inherited, and so the ability that he has is kind of like what his mother has. Like his mother is part of another house, and these houses are like a very powerful people which are able to control people with the use of their voice. You know, and so you got to be able to master that. So if they wanted to make you sit down, like they changed the whole tone, like sit, right? And so as soon as they change that voice and they speak like that, like the person automatically just does it. But he hasn't unlocked that potential, but he has a lot of visions because he's the chosen one, right?
Boy. Duncan, can I trust you with something?
So Duncan, Jason Momoa, he's training Paul Atreides to pretty much be able to handle himself with the sword, right? So he's pretty much his mentor, and he treats him like a son, and he's like an uncle to him. You know what I mean? And uh, Duncan is going to be on a mission. Like he's being sent on a secret mission to go over to Arrakis and kind of feel out the environment, uh, um, uh, take care of the diplomatic section of what's going on with Arrakis, and be able to make friends. So before the Duke shows up, the Fremen would already be comfortable with them showing up. They're not gonna just be all like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" Right? So, this fool's badass, and when he goes there, man, he's able to even contend with the best of them. Man, he actually has to fight it out, and he has to prove to the Fremen that he ain't there to cause any harm or to cause any damage. but trying to just make come in there to peace for the fact that the emperor had assigned them this duty in Arrakis, right? But the Fremen are like, you know what? This is our world, man. Who are you guys to come here and tell us what we and woot the boot, right? But when he shows up, he takes care of that. He also like Paul has visions where he sees Duncan and he sees him dead too. You know what I mean? And so right away you kind of see some things that are about to happen, and you don't know whether it's going to pop in this movie and the second movie, because there's a lot of visions that pop up, but you never see the fulfillment of those visions in the movie. Then you'll see them in the second one, right? And then there's other visions that you're expecting to see in the second one that don't even pop up on the first or the second. So now you got to wait for the third one, right? So there's just a lot to keep up with. So sometimes it's so you got to be able to watch the movie twice to understand what's exactly going on, because it's one of those things where you kind of have to like understand the situation every time he goes into a vision, what's going on, what would you do, whatever.
Yes, always, you know that.
I've been having dreams about a girl on Arrakis. I don't know what it means.
Dreams make good stories. But everything important happens when we're awake. Hey, you. Put on some muscle?
I did?
No.
We are House Atreides.
So the House Atreides, right? This is when they show up. So they show up at the request of the Emperor and the House Atreides, man. Duke Atreides, Oscar Isaac, did an excellent job, man. He right away. I mean, as soon as the Class A list in this movie is so cool, man. So, very honorable Duke. You know what I mean? The Duke of Atreides, man, of the House of Atreides. Right away, as soon as the Emperor asked, like he dropped whatever he did, and of course, you know what I mean. We're gonna follow what the Emperor says. If the Emperor says that's what it needs to be done, then that's what needs to be done. So they show up in Arrakis and with everything. You know what I mean? With everything, like the king said, take everything, and he didn't leave nothing behind.
There is no call we do not answer.
So right here, this battle that's happening right here, this is after they've already, right before they actually take off to Arrakis, right? And now Duncan's already gone, so Paul doesn't have the time to be able to train. So I forgot what this dude's name is right here. Gunny, I think. But Braun here, he takes on that role of Duncan, Jason Momoa, and trains Paul Atreides, and pretty much lets him know, like, hey, Paul Atreides is kind of sluggish. I don't feel it right now, right? But this fool, like, straight up gets in his face, and he's like, what are you talking about? You don't feel it. When it's time to fight, you don't have an option of whether you want to or not. It's time for you to fight. And so he pretty much forces him to have to man up and be ready in case something goes down. You just can't be like, oh, I don't feel like doing it. No, it's time for you. It's time for action. And he ends up putting his abilities to work, and he ends up kind of like understanding what he means, and he takes a counsel to heart.
There is no faith that we betray.
Like as you heard, like there is no faith we betray. There is no request that we don't do. Like very honorable dude. Now, this dude right here, he's cool because what he can do, he's like a person that could see whether you're hurt, you got any broken bones. You know what I mean? He's like one of those, like an X-ray machine. Like he pulls his eyes to the back and pretty much is able to scan the body and see if you got any weapons on you, you got anything on. You know what I mean? It's pretty much like X-ray vision, and he can tell if you hurt.
Smile, Gurney.
Big
smile. The Emperor asks us to bring peace to Arrakis.
To bring peace to Arrakis. Why? Because Duke Atreides is very good at making friends, man. You know what I mean? Just a cool dude, man. Solid, but not a punk, but a solid dude.
House Atreides accepts.
I know you.
So here you see these scenes, right? Like this right here is already past the section of after they've been there and they had to fight it out. Um, right after they arrive to Arrakis, not too long after, like they have like this giant machine that kind of like breaks up they with fingers they hit the sand, and what it does, it kind of helps bring that spice to the surface, right? So that they're able to collect it, and it sucks up a bunch of sand, and it's able to filter out the spice from the sand, right? But the machine is busted, and they have like these giant sandworms that are able to swallow a whole machine. Like just think about a machine the size of a house. That's the whole size of a house, and and the worm just shows up and it could just eat the whole thing in one swoop. Um, and so they have like these machines that show up with giant cables because they see the worm coming, so they send out the signal, and so they see with the binoculars, and a dude's coming to pick up the spice a machine. And guess what, man? It's got four beams, not four beams, four cables. Three of them work. The fourth one doesn't work. You know what I mean? Smells like a setup already, right? You could already tell it's a setup. You know.
There's something awakening in my mind.
Now this dude right here is the one that actually took the charge and sneaking up and fighting the House of Atreides. And he floats around, but they have like this. He's got like this almost like a Doctor Octopus style a machine on the back of his neck that goes all the way down to his spine, and pretty much like he's just could float around if he wants. It's not very fast, but he's able to just kind of like float if he wanted to. So he never walks. You know what I mean? This fool's just sitting there, just moves around. You know. Now this right here is not nothing to do with the first part. So here is one of the scenes that you actually is going to have its fulfillment in the second movie. All right, and so like there's this group of women that are just very powerful. They're able to use like what they like this voice, and they're able to manipulate people if they're a high level user, right? So they change their tone, and she could just be like, "Come here," and you come, sit, tie my shoes. You know what I mean? Untie me. Give me the gun. Shoot yourself, right? And whatever she says, you're gonna do it. You got no, you know what I mean? She's just taking control, and so there's like a whole group of women that do this, and there's like they have like what is called like a reverend mother, and every reverend mother is different in every world. You know what I mean? Because they got they respect the traditions of the people, so they kind of the traditions are not the same all the way. But then there's like one head reverend mother, which is right hand to the emperor. So whoever is the king, then that person becomes like the head of all the reverend mothers, right? Whatever woman's there. And so this is one of those scenes that you're going to see in the second movie. It's got nothing to do with the first one yet.
You need to face your fears.
Come with me. I need to be.
So in this scene right here, this is when they're trying to escape after they've already fought, and the House of Atreides has fallen. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. Like the House of Atreides has fallen. Because they were that much of a threat to the Emperor for some reason. You know what I mean? Like this dude's just really cool, and the Emperor's like, you're just too cool, bro. Like you got too much influence, and that's a threat.
I need to be ready.
So right here, like you see all of their military equipment of the House of Atreides, man, they got everything. They brought everything. All their soldiers, all their equipment, everything was brought to Arrakis to bring peace. That's what they said. You know what I'm saying?
You never met Harkonnens before. They're not human, they're brutal. The Duke's son sees too much.
This is my Dune. Kill them all.
So right here where it says that this is my Dune, kill them all. So, you know, he even though that dude is not the Emperor is using him to betray the House of Atreides. You know what I mean? And here, this is one of the scenes where you see how he's wearing the white shirt. He's not in his gear, his military gear. Like he wakes up because he hears noises, and when he starts investigating, like he sees like this that something's wrong. You know what I mean? So as he's walking around, he hears he picks up a knife and or a little gun that he has, and he sees a lady on the floor. You know, and so he puts on his shield, and it's selected and it covers him, and it's one of the assistants that are there, and she's been shaken in the stomach. You know what I mean? She's dying. So when he goes to flip her, you know, somebody with a little dark gun shoots and it hits the shield, and he's trying to stop it, but it hits him. Boom! It's like a paralyzing agent. He can still see what's going on, but it's like a paralyzing agent, right? And it is the most shocking, like the most shocking person that you ever expected to be the one to betray the House of Atreides, man.
Kill them all.
Here is when you see it all going down. Like this is very close to the beginning of the movie. You know what I mean? Like the House of Atreides is betrayed very early in the movie, man. And so here you see them all coming out, and they're like, "Dude, we're screwed." You know what I mean? Um, the person that betrays them shuts down the force field, man. You know what I mean? Shuts it all down so that whoever attacks has full range. Ain't nothing stopping whatever's coming.
God in heaven.
Right here. You know what I mean? This right here is when they start wiping out the House of Atreides. They get the dude to convince them to go shut down the shield, and then they attack all of their military complex, man. Wipe everything out. They didn't even have enough time to run to their helicopters or to their giant spaceships to kind of like begin this war. Nothing, man.
Get everything with guns off the ground! Go!
This is an extermination.
This is an extermination. Like he understands. He knows what's happening. You know what I mean? He knows like somebody betrayed us.
It's an extermination.
That's the punk right there, Mr. Sinister. You know what I mean? As soon as I saw this, it reminded me of Sinister. You know what I mean? But I was like, you know, he seemed very loving, man, very caring. Would never expect that this fool was going to be the one to betray them. The doctor, man. The doctor.
They're picking my family off one by one.
Let's fight like demons.
So there on Duncan, that's before he dies. You know what I mean? Like he ends up getting wiped out, Duncan, man. But he dies like a G though. You know what I mean? He dies like a G. Later on, you'll find out like who's the one that actually made the order to betray the house of Atreides. You know what I mean? Like you get more detail of that, and it's really cool, man. There's a really cool scenes coming up. This is the final battle for Duncan, Jason Momoa right here, boy. Like you should see that. Like the dude knows, like he is ready. He knows it's over. It's a wrap.
Dad, what if I'm not the future of House Atreides?
This is all in the beginning. He's talking to his dad. That's all in the beginning of the movie. This right here is when he's escaping. He's already running for his life. They're like in one of those helicopters and they crash land. And um, if you hit the floor, boom, 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 and it makes like an echo, oh, you're in big trouble, man. Big trouble. That echo is what attracts the worms. And so they're running for their lives. Boy, look at the size. Like out of nowhere, like the biggest worm chased this fool. And you're about to see like the granddaddy of worms, man.
A great man doesn't seek to lead. He's called to it. But if your answer is no, you'll still be...
Look at that. You know what I mean? But you know what? The Duke of Atreides, man, like listen to the quotes that they bring out right now. That's why, you know, when with Oscar Isaac, man, when they wiped him out, and you just can't wait for them to get the revenge. You know what I mean? Because he's such a loving father. You know what I mean? Like he makes his son comfortable. He's like, you know what, son? Even if you don't want to be the ruler, you know what I mean? You've always been what I needed you to be.
Be the only thing I ever needed you to be. My son. If anything happens,
That's a battle that happens that you just saw. That's a battle that happens in the second movie coming up, what you just witnessed on that one, right?
will you protect Paul?
All of this is where in the beginning of the movie after they land. You know what I mean? Like Paul Atreides knows who she is. You know what I mean? That she belongs to that class of people that use that special ability. You know what I mean? So he's asking not his wife, but he's asking that one person that belongs to that community, will you protect them, our son, from them? You know what I mean? Will you make sure that he's protected? You know? Then later on, you go on to find out that ain't even his girl. That's his girl, but that ain't even his wife. It's his concubine that bore his child.
My life.
So right there, when you saw him get hit and the whole shield turned red, that's when the doctor betrayed the House of Atreides right there. You know what I mean? Right there. That's when the doctor betrayed the House of Atreides, shot him with the dart, paralyzing dart, bam, hit him in the back, and you can see him trying to fight it off. This is all in the beginning of the movie. Right there, that's the last scene of Duncan. Right there. This is the last scene. Like they know, like this is it, dude. Like we're getting wiped out, and their job is to keep the Duke's son alive, because they're trying to wipe out everybody. Like nobody can survive here. You know what I mean? And they do an excellent job in keeping the ruler of the House of Atreides alive.
Only together can we stand a chance.
So this is the Fremen, and this one, what's his name? From No Country for Old Men. Dude, one of my favorite actors, man. Like this was by far my favorite character too, other than Brolin, Momoa, Zenyatta, Paul, and I forgot dude that played Elvis. You know what I mean? Of course, there's other actors on there, but these are the ones that, for me, had the most impact at the time. You know, and he has a bit. You know, he makes the roles of the Fremen even better. You know what I mean? Because he's not even part of the Fremen. He's He's from a different section. They call him he's from the south side of Dune. You know, and so he's got an accent when he speaks, and so you can tell that he's not from the same location. Like he's also an outsider. You know what I mean? Or not necessarily an outsider, but he's not of that community. You know, and you could that's one thing I started communicating. They're like, well, you can't hear his tone. He's not of this tribe. He's of another tribe, of Fremen though. This You don't see none of this here. Oh no, wait. On the second movie, you're gonna see a lot of this stuff happening, going down. Like this stuff that's happening here. You're watching these scenes. This is coming up in the second movie. Okay, you don't see a lot of this in the first one. A lot of the first one is like escaping and trying to figure out like who betrayed, because the doctor gets snaked, man. You know, he shows up and he was like, oh, you promised that you're gonna send me to my wife, And the dude's like, oh, you wanna go to your wife? Yep. Slash dude's throat. Here, go with your wife. She's dead. Now you're dead too. And thank you. You killed off the house of Atreides. That's what they think. They actually like Bautista is chasing Paul Atreides, and there's like this gigantic sandstorm that for him it's like nothing could survive, and they've never been able to actually go past the sandstorm. They've never tried, so they just took it on a person's face value that nothing is beyond that sandstorm. You know what I mean? Later on in the movie, you find out more about that. You know, but they end up making it and surviving. So you don't see this. You don't see this here. You know what I mean? This stuff is coming up. This is not even in the second one yet. This is all coming up in the third one.
It's time.
So right there when she says it's time, right? Like she's kind of like doesn't tell her son that the Reverend Mother that's next to the Emperor has shown up, and they're looking for like the Messiah, because there's like prophecies that are being fulfilled throughout the movie, right? So they're like looking for this Messiah, which is like the Ashkalim, right? That's what they call him, the Ashkalim, and there's like all kinds of prophecies supposed to write the giant, the biggest, the granddaddy of all the worms. Right, there's like things that he's supposed to fulfill that they're like he's fulfilling all the prophecies, right? So little by little you'll see him like for doing certain things, like everybody when he shows up, like everybody can feel that the Alakazim, right? And everybody's like, oh, they're going crazy. These are just religious fanatics, yada yada yada, whatever, whoop de whoop, right? But they're like, no, like these people believe that he is. You know what I mean? Because they could see signs, they could see what he is, like they could feel that. You know what I mean? An interconnection in that. And so, like he ends up sticking his hand in a box that the Reverend Mother has, and she ends up using like the voice to call him to her. You know what I mean? And he's like, you dare use that on me? And she don't give a damn. And she's like, right hand to the Emperor. You know what I mean? And so he like sticks his hand inside the box, and then she puts like a needle next to his head, to his neck, right? And she lets him know, I got a poisonous needle right here. And she's very honest with him. He says, what's in the box? Pain. Lots of it. Stick your hand out, and you're going to die. And he pretty much mans up, sticks his hand in that box, and goes through some severe pain, and just sitting there like, ugh, but eventually just looks and just like, and yeah, man, like the Reverend Mother didn't like that. You know what I mean? She didn't like that. But this dude like straight up handled his business. He can't be controlled either, and that's another thing that she didn't like, is that he was too independent. But the movie was sick. I like watching the first one before I went to watch the second one. I felt like I had a better connection with the characters for the fact that I actually was able to enjoy it a lot better. I was able to pay attention to other little details throughout the movie. Like I always like paying attention to breaking things down as I'm watching it twice or the third time around. Items that I missed the first time I watched it. And so check out Dune 1 before you go watch Dune 2. All right. If you've already watched Dune 2, then this review is for you. Drop me your 2 cents on the comments. Hit like and subscribe. That's your boy, Dos Pesos. Peace.